Okay, so year 10, so this will be our first lesson on polynomial. Okay, so polynomial is a new chapter. So first we are going to see some basic notations and definitions for polynomials. So okay, so first question, what do we mean by polynomial? Right, so polynomial is just an expression containing only non-negative integer power of x. So we understand when we say non-negative integer power of x. Okay, so that will, let me show you. Okay, so x square, so the power is square. Okay, so normally for polynomial, the variable always denotes as x. Okay, so x squared is just a non-negative integer power of x, or you might see x just x. Okay, if that's just x, that means the power is 1. Okay, so these are all elements of a polynomial. Even you might see a constant. Okay, so how about 3? Is 3 could be part of a polynomial? Yes, because you could consider that 3 as 3 times x to the power 0. We all understand that x to the power 0 is 1. Okay, so that's why 3, just 3 itself is also could be a part of a polynomial. Okay, and the second thing you need to understand is what do we mean by degree of polynomial. Okay, so the degree of polynomial is the highest power for x in the expression. Okay, for example, if you have a polynomial 3x plus 1, okay, so the only term in x here is just x, its power is 1. Okay, so in this case, the polynomial is of degree 1. For the second one, so we all understand this is a quadratic. For quadratic one, okay, you see x squared, the other term with x is just x. So x squared, the square, that means 2 is the highest power of the polynomial. So in this time, this is what we call polynomial of degree 2. And the next one will be degree 3. So how about constant? For constant, actually, like what I've said before, actually for 10, you could consider 10 as 10 times x to the power 0. So that's a polynomial of degree 0. Okay. And there are some terms which should not be contained in a polynomial. For example, 1 over x, because 1 over x means the power of x to the power minus 1. So this is not should not be an element of polynomial. Okay, so these are not polynomials. X to the power minus 2, no. Square root x, no, because square root of x, that square root is not a positive integer power. Okay, and 2x, what's the problem? Because the base is 2, not x. X squared is okay, but 2 to the power x is not. Psi x is a trigonometry function. Okay. Okay, so you see there's some non-polynomials. Okay, so can you see why they are not polynomials? Okay, so for the first one, if you could see, the problem is this. For the first one, the problem is with this. Yes, 2 over x. So the power of that x when you is on the denominator, so that's x to the power minus 1. Okay. For the second one, square root of x is not a qualified term for a polynomial. Psi x for the third one. All right. Okay. So let's see other names or notations for polynomial. Okay. Okay. In an expression, 6x power 3 plus 13x squared minus x plus 1. Okay, so this is a polynomial, if you can see that, because all the power of x is positive. Okay, so x is the variable, okay, in this case. So for every polynomial there must be a variable. So variable is something you can substitute in different numbers. So remember this, we might use that in the later stage of this chapter. Okay, so when we see that 6, this 6 you can call it like coefficient of x cubed, okay, and 13 should be coefficient of x squared. How about minus x? So for minus x, its coefficient is minus 1, because normally we don't write minus 1x, we just write minus x. Okay, so and there are 4 terms: 6x cubed, 13x squared, minus x plus 1. There are 4 terms. The constant term is plus 1. Okay, and the degree is 3. Degree is always the highest power of all the terms. Alright. Okay, and also we have a leading term. So leading term is the term with the highest power, and the leading coefficient is the number in front of that x with the highest power. Also you have so we've studied that's monic. For monic polynomial, that means the leading coefficient is 1. Okay, so these are just the names. So you just try to get yourself some sense of them. You don't need to memorize. You will see them, okay, from time to time. Okay, and then we are going to do addition, subtraction of polynomials. Okay, for example, for this one, you are going to simplify the expression. Okay. How to simplify this thing? Okay, my general guideline is like you need to add the like terms. If you still remember what doing the like terms, you need to identify which term is like term with another term, and then you could only add up or take away the like terms, not the if they are not like terms, you can't do the addition or subtraction. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so for the first step, so if you see some brackets, so you need to remove the brackets. For the first bracket, because there's nothing in front of it, so here's there's nothing, it's plus, right? If there's nothing, so we could just remove the bracket. So okay, so I'm just lazy. Okay, you can't do that for your own exercise. Okay, so I just removed this bracket. Can you see that? I'm just remove this bracket. Going to remove this bracket. Going to remove this bracket. Okay, so because that's plus. Okay, so this plus is very important because this is plus. So that means when you remove the bracket, you don't need to worry about the sign within for the terms inside the bracket. So you keep everything. Yeah, that would be the simplest case. Then you are going to group the like terms. So what are the like terms? When you see 6x cubed, is there any other term with x cubed? No. So that means there's only one term with x cubed. Okay, so and then x squared. So when you consider a term, you consider coefficient as well. That means the number in front of it, and also the sign in front of the number. So for that term, you should not treat it as like 2x squared. You should treat it as minus 2x squared, right? Do we have another term of x squared? Yes, here. This is another term. So I circle them in color, so you see they are like terms. All right. Okay, then do we have so for 5x, okay, positive 5x minus 5x. Okay, so these are the term for x. And the last one, let's see if we have the constant term. Okay, right, then you just try to add all those like terms together. Okay, for the first one, 6x cubed, there's nothing you could do, right? For the second one, you could remove that plus x squared to the front, and for the x term, you move that minus x to the front. So when you move a term, you move the sign the sign for it as well. Don't just move the number and x, you move the sign. Okay, so when you move that minus 5x, you need to move that minus sign as well. Alright, so when you move that minus 6, you need to write minus 6, not just 6. Okay, then you need to be very careful about the take away or the addition. For example, minus 2x squared plus 3x squared. So it's not 2 plus 3. It's minus 2 plus 3. So it should be plus 1x squared, but we don't need to write that 1, so it's just x squared. Okay? And for this 5x minus x, they are the same. So 5 minus positive 5 take away 5 becomes 0. Okay, so just 0. Okay, so for 0x you don't need to write. You don't need to write that 0x, right? Minus 6 plus 10 is not 6 plus 10, it's minus 6 plus 10. So if you are not quite sure, use your calculator, then you will get the answer, right? Okay, so simply you need to remove the bracket and you need to find the like terms for each term. Okay, and then you add them up. Okay, so in the examination, it's not necessary for you to write this one. So this step is not necessary. Okay, it's not necessary for you to write this one. Okay, you should just skip this one. Okay, when you skip this one, can we still do it? Yes, of course. So for example, 6x x cubed. Oh, okay, I got something wrong. Okay, 6x cubed is still 6x cubed. For x squared, because you have circled them with certain color, so you see that minus 2x plus 3x squared. So you just think about minus 2 plus 3, so it's plus 1 plus 1, right? So you just write x squared. So that's how we do it. You don't need to actually move the terms. Okay, so possibly that will save you some time. Alright, okay, so you might take some time to do this one. So please pause the video now, you try by yourself first and we check the answer, alright? Okay, so let's see if you got the answer, right? Okay, group those like terms together, add them, and also you need to simplify after you group them together. Okay, so be careful about the minus sign and plus sign, alright? Oh, okay, so the last step is wrong. Should be, this should be 12. Okay, so there should be no problem. Okay, good. So let's move on. Okay, so what happens if there's minus sign in front of the second bracket? So we understand that if you remove the bracket, but you got with a minus sign in front of it, you have to change the sign for all the terms in the bracket. All right. Okay, that's what we are going to do. Okay, so again, I'm lazy, I just copy and paste this one. Okay, so I'm going to remove the first bracket. That will be no problem. But when I remove the second bracket, I have to make sure I change the sign. So originally, that's 3x squared plus. Okay, so now it becomes minus. Minus 5x becomes plus, and that's plus 10 should become minus. Alright, so you need to change the sign. Can you see that? You need to change the sign. Okay, all good. So remove the bracket, then you change all the sign for the terms inside the bracket. Okay, then it's time for you to group them. Right, so for the first one, can you see it? It's this one. Do we have another x cubed? No, so there's only one x cubed. Okay, so first one I might use blue. So second one I'm going to use orange. Do we have another x squared? Yes. So here's the x squared. Do we have a term of x? Yes. Plus x. So here's another plus x. Do we have a constant term? Yep. This is what we have, the constant term. Okay, so let's see, what do we have? So 2x cubed, alright, so just copy it. Okay, minus x squared. Possibly need to remove that 3x squared to the front. Plus 4x, remove that plus 5x to the front. Minus 6, minus 10. Alright? Okay, so let's simplify. Minus x squared minus 3x squared. What happens? Okay, what happens? Well, you got minus 1, minus 3, right? If that's nothing in front of x squared, that means 1. Okay, that's minus 1, minus 3. So minus 1 minus 3 is minus 4. Plus 4x, plus 5x, plus 9x, minus 6, minus 10, minus 16. Okay, so there's one solution for that. Okay, have you seen that? Alright, okay, no problem. Okay, so then of course I'm going to ask to do one by yourself. Okay, try to do it by yourself. Pause the video now, try to do it by yourself. Okay, so here's the answer, right? So you will have minus 10x to the power 4, okay, as a leading one. So, and when you remove the bracket, you see you need to change the sign. You need to change the sign or here. Actually, you change the sign for that 3x4 as well, because originally within the brackets, so it should be positive, but now it becomes negative, right? So you actually change all the signs for all the terms within the bracket, and then you need to regroup them. So there are lots of colors, okay, because there are many different types of terms, okay, and then you group them together and simplify. Okay, again, if you don't want to do this step, it's okay. So if you don't want to write this step because you think that would be too clumsy, a lot of steps, you don't want to write this long step, that's okay. You could just jump to the final answer, right? But it's up to you, okay, as long as you get it correct. Okay, good. Let's have a look. So after we've done addition and subtraction, okay, I think you need to do a little bit on that practice one. Okay, so it will take you some time. So of course you don't need to do all of them. Okay, so possibly if you got the first two correct, then possibly the rest of them will be just okay. And here again, you might try the first two. If you got them correct, then just okay, you got the answer below, right? Okay, so next one we are going to do multiplication. Still remember the FOIL method? Okay, let's think about the FOIL. Okay, for FOIL method, it says if I got a binomial, two binomials multiplied together, then what I'm going to do, okay, still remember the FOIL. FOIL means the first. Okay, and how about and outside? That's O is outside. F stands for first. O stands for outside. Okay, so I change another color. So that's outside, right? I means inner. So inner means this one. And L means last. Okay, so basically you see another way to memorize this is like you need to make sure each term in the first bracket multiply every term in the second bracket. Okay, so that would be good for include all the terms. Okay, for example, A has been used to multiply C and D, and B has been used to multiply C and D as well. Alright, so you got all the terms. Okay, then when you list them out, you got AC, you got AD, you got BC. Oh, sorry, you got BC, you got BD. That's it. Alright, let's move on here. Okay, so here we are going to do a bit more than FOIL. It's more difficult than just FOIL because we've learned FOIL in last, I think in last chapter, the lesson 1 of last chapter of algebra, right? So how about like I got 3 things times together. Okay, so when you observe that, you see that 2 binomials and 1 single term outside. Okay, so there are lots of ways to do it, but for me, I'm going to do the binomial multiplication first, and then I'm going to multiply that x into what we've got from the binomial multiplication. Alright, okay, so let me just copy it, just put it here. Okay, so my focus, okay, will be on the first 2 terms. Sorry, the second. Okay, all right. So I'm going to do the binomial multiplication first. Okay, and then I'm going back to deal with that x. All right. So still remember how to do it. So we're going to use FOIL. Okay, first, outside, inner, last. Alright? Okay, so let's see what we've got. So x still here. So when you multiply the things inside, you got x squared. X times x is x squared. You got 2x. You got 1x. You got 1 times 2, which is 2. Okay? So if you write like this, it's wrong. Why? Because the multiplication of these 2 things, okay, if you happen first, but you still got that x outside, alright? So it's very important to remember you need to add a pair of brackets, okay, to separate that leading x to the rest of the terms, alright? Okay, because that's you change the order of operation. You do the multiplication among the between the last 2 binomials. Okay, so you need to reflect that change in order of operation by adding a pair of brackets. Alright, okay, then possibly you would like to simplify the things in that brackets a little bit. Then, okay, so how about now you got 1 terms outside, you got 3 terms inside. Okay, so this will be the simplest one called law of distribution, because you got only 1 single term there. You just distribute that x to the terms inside. Okay, x times the first term, x times x squared becomes, okay, so possibly I need to write that a bit more than that, x times 3x and 2 times x, suppose. Okay, x times x squared, so that will be 3x times together, x cubed. That will be 3x squared plus 2x. Okay, that will do it. Okay, all good. Alright, okay, so you might want to try this, but you need to be a bit careful about the minus sign. But I think since you've learned that before, okay, you might pause the video now and try yourself. Try that by yourself first, and then we see if you got the answer, right? Okay, so that's part B. Alright, so first you need to expand the 2 brackets first, but after you expand them using FOIL, then you need to add a pair of brackets to separate them from that 2x. Okay, right, then simplify the terms in the bracket, and then you then you multiply that 2x into the brackets for each of them. That's what we call distribution law. Alright, then you simplify the things again. Alright. Okay, should be no problem. Alright, okay, so let's go to example 4. Okay, so example 4, you see 3 binomials. Okay, how could we deal with this? Okay, what we are going to do is we try to do the first 2 brackets first. Okay, alright, we try to do the first 2 brackets and then we are going to do the last one. Okay, so for the first 2 brackets you use FOIL again. First, outside, inner, last. Right, so you will have x squared plus 2x plus 1x plus 2. Okay, of course you need a bracket for it, otherwise just it's not the whole thing times x plus 3. So without that bracket is wrong. Can you see that? Okay, if you write without this bracket, then becomes only that's 2 times that bracket x plus 3. But what really happened is the whole thing should be used to times x plus 3. Okay, so that means this bracket is essential. Okay, so you need to understand why do we need to add this bracket. Okay, so that's very important part of algebra, knowing when we need to add a pair of brackets. Okay, removing brackets is always easier than the time you need to add a pair of brackets. Alright, okay, all good, and let's try to simplify that. Okay, so have we ever learned this? You got 3 terms. That's what we call trinomial, and you got 2 terms in the second bracket. That's what we call binomial. Have we ever learned this? Possibly no, but we could use the similar idea of that FOIL method. Remember the FOIL method, just make sure you multiply everything in the second bracket by each term in the first bracket. So if you make sure about that, then you will get the answer. Okay, so just like the FOIL method, I'm going to assign that x squared to multiply the 2 terms in the second bracket, and also I'm going to assign that's 3x to multiply the 2 terms in the second bracket, and lastly I'm going to assign that's 2 to multiply. Okay, so that's not a lot of arrows, but actually there are only 6 of them. Alright, so the key idea is to make sure every term in the first bracket multiply every term in the second bracket. Alright, then you will get the answer. Alright, okay, so x squared times, first one, x squared times x. So can we just go like this? Okay, x squared times 3, we all understand this 3x squared. Okay, and the second term, 3x times, that's x, 3x times 3, and that's 2 times x, 2 times 3, right? So you've got all of them. Then you just simplify them. X squared times x, which is x cubed, 3x squared, and 3x times x, 3x squared, plus 3x times 3, 9x, plus 2x, plus 6. Okay. Can we just add them up? 3 plus 3 is 6x squared, 9 plus 2 is 11x. Oh, something wrong? Yeah, it should be okay. I'm just checking. Right? Yeah, it should be okay. If something wrong, you need to tell me by comment on YouTube. Right? Okay. All right. So that would be the way we're going to do this one. All right. Okay. Let's give you a try. Okay. About B. All right. Okay. So B is more difficult because there's a minus sign. You need to consider that minus becomes positive, like what we've done before. You got minus 2 times minus 3 becomes plus 6. Okay, all sorts of things like this. You need to be careful. All right, so might pause the video for you to have a try, and then let's track the answer. Okay, so just track the answer. Especially you need to be aware of the plus sign, minus sign, right? So you need to check whether you got correct. You got correct minus sign here, and here should be plus because minus 1 times minus 2 is plus. Okay, then and you simplify that, you should have a minus 3x. And when you multiply that trinomial to binomial, you are using each term in the trinomial to multiply all the terms in the binomial. Okay, so there are sometimes you need to be checking that the sign of the term. Alright, for example, you should see minus 3x times that's x should be minus 3x. Okay, be careful about the sign over here. Okay, if you got something wrong here, that will make you wrong in the end, right? Okay, so that's the thing you need to consider, right? Track the answer, right? Okay, so let's go. Let's move on. Okay, all good. Okay, so now we've got another interesting thing. You got power of that binomial. Do you still remember the power of binomial? That means what? If that's square, that actually means x plus 3 times x plus 3, right? Okay, so you could still use FOIL. You could still use that, but for us, if you remember one identity, which is, if you still remember this identity, if we use a plus b square. So how could we get this one? We don't use FOIL for this one if that's square, because that's a very useful identity, or what we call formula for this one. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, so the square of the first term, the square of the last term, plus 2ab. Okay, you could do that by FOIL, I say again, but just quicker. Okay, just quicker, right? Okay, so that's why for this one, possibly we are going to do the square thing first, because we have a special identity for us to do the square thing. Okay, sorry, I should use this one. Okay, so we are going to do that square thing. Okay, so this one becomes x squared plus 2x times 3 plus 3 squared, right? So, and what we're going to get is x plus 2 x squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay, so again we see something like the previous one. You got binomial, you got trinomial. Okay, so last time we are doing trinomial times binomial, this time binomial times trinomial, but actually they are the same, because you know multiplication you can reverse the order. But this time how could we do it? So let me remind you again, no matter whether it's binomial times trinomial or the other way around, you always make sure each term in one bracket multiply all the terms in the other bracket. Then you will do it. So for example, I'm going to do, for the first term I multiply everything with the second bracket, and also I'm using the second term to multiply everything here. Right, so then you will have x x times x squared. Okay, x times 6x. Okay, x times 9. Could we just write 9x? 2 times x squared. 2 times 6x plus 2 times 9. Alright, so of course it's easier for me because I could kind of all the sign are positive. Alright, x cubed plus 6x squared plus 9x plus 2x squared plus 12x plus 18. Okay, so for this one you need to do some grouping because you need to move the x squared together, and also you need to move the term of x together, right? So let's try to move it. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so that's plus 9x. I'm going to shift it here. So I put it back. You see that we group all the like terms together. So x cubed 6x squared plus 2x squared becomes 8x squared. 9x plus 12x, 21x plus 18. So it's done. Alright, okay. Right, okay, so let's see another one. It's the last one. Okay. Okay, so for this one is cube. Okay, so how about cube? Okay, for cube, what we're going to do is we rewrite this one into, okay, things like this. So we got square times 1 times power 1, right? So you got square times power 1 is power 3, right? So the idea to do that is that we could do that's the square thing first as a first binomial, right? So to do this, you could use the formula. Okay, if we got a minus b squared, what do we get? We got a squared minus 2ab, if you still remember the b squared, right? So for the first part, we would just get x squared minus 2 times x times 2 plus 2 squared times x minus 2, right? Okay. So that will do it, x squared minus 4x plus 4 times x minus 2. Alright, and then after this, you multiply all the terms in the first bracket, okay, to all the terms in the second bracket, okay, and right, so this one, and you will have the last thing which I use this color. Alright, okay, so let's see, what do we have? X squared times x, okay, minus 2x squared, got minus 4x times x, minus 4x times, okay, so that's minus 4x times minus 2 becomes positive, and plus 4 times x minus, because plus minus, okay, so lots of traps. You need to be really careful. Alright, so for some of students, this part might be the most difficult part to get all the brackets correct. Alright, but you need to take the challenge. Minus 6x squared, ax plus 4x, just 12x, minus a. Alright, so that's how we do a cubic one. Okay, so let's have overview for what we have done. Okay, so we've learned what doing by polynomial. Polynomial is just a collection of terms with non-negative integer power, including the constant term, right? And we've learned how to do how to do addition and subtraction of polynomial. It will be easier. You just need to remove the bracket and rearrange the terms. to make sure the like terms can be added together. Alright, and we have learned the the multiplication. The multiplication is the extended use of that FOIL method, but this time you need to have more than just doing FOIL. Okay, so there a bit of variation there, okay, to train your algebraic skills. Alright, so let's see the practice. Alright, so after this we have a practice 1.2. okay, so this practice includes a lot of questions, okay, and all the variation we've done here. What you need to do is to make sure you know how to do like 3 binomials multiplied together, only 2 of them with a term outside, or you need to do how to do them power 3 and power 4. Okay, alright, so and I would recommend you not to do all of them. Okay, that will take you a lot of time, but possibly you need to make sure you understand. So so I would like you to do 4 ACI, okay, and 5 GH for number 6. If you are really interested in deeper exploration, you're looking for very high grade in math, you would like to invest that kind of time, or you are really interested in this part of math, then possibly you could do some question in number 6. Okay, so after you finish them, please send me photos to let me know, okay, how well you are doing. Alright, that's it. See you next time.